Hello, in today's demonstration, I am going to do an exploration of line using a variety of drawing implements, and then I'm going to incorporate some paint um, towards the end. Now, the purpose of doing this is getting to know your tools. There's so many of them. So I've got some with color, some without, some are water soluble, some are not. You know, when you go to the art store, you can see people are testing out the implements, drawing on, they put little pieces of paper out there now, but sometimes people are drawing on the furniture. So you need to know what your tools can do. I'm going to keep this very simple and just do straight lines across the page with all of these implements. If you want to get a little pattern going, you can. I'm just going to go straight across. This is our warm up. So I'm doing this kind of randomly, different parts of the page. Okay, so that's ballpoint pen. Now I'm going to go pencil, and I can go right next to it or space it out. Okay, so there's the tip of the pencil. Some implements have more surfaces to explore. So if I go down low with the pencil, I'm going to get a more shaded line. Okay. So there's pencil. Then I'm going to do charcoal pencil. Okay, now this, what's great, I can smudge with my finger. And then when that gets wet, that's going to turn into paint too. Love the charcoal pencil. It's got kind of a velvety look. Okay. You could even incorporate things like just things you find, like your highlighter. Okay, we're just checking it all out because this is mixed media. Highlighter. I'm going to go Posca pen. Which when that water touches that, it's going to become more liquid. I've got a China marker. So my hope with this, since it's wax, is that maybe it'll act as a resist when paint goes over that. I don't know yet. They also, I'm going to try one. This comes in white. I won't see it until something liquid goes over that. I want to see if that acts as a resist. I've got water-soluble graphite stick. That would form a broader line. Also, the tip, I can go thinner line. So playing with all the different things these drawing implements can do. Okay. I think that's it for the drawing implements. Now, now I know what I wanted to do. Now, because it's mixed media, I'm going to incorporate some collage material. Then I'll come in with some paint. So I like old book pages because they rip really nicely. You could use newspaper, whatever you have around that is appealing. You could use a street map. Okay, so I'm going to rip these in strips to be in keeping with my line theme I have going on. And I guess I will use some of that street map. So even though this is just stripes, it's already kind of an interesting composition. All right, so I'm going to glue that down. I am going to use a gel medium. I'm using the heavy matte gel. I like using this silicone, I guess it's a paintbrush or catalyst tool. You can glob that on. And then I tend to scrape on top of it with the gel medium. Okay, so I got that. Now, I don't really need to do this, but sometimes when I'm attaching collage material, I'll put a sheet of this deli paper and then I'll go over with my Bondo scraper just to scrape out any bubbles. Okay. Oh dear, now that's pulling up the piece. It's stuck to the paper. Okay, it came off. Now that's interesting. Some of my whatchamacall, my China marker stuck to the gel medium and came off on the paper, on the deli paper. That's kind of cool. So sometimes these accidents happen. That might be something to deliberately repeat. I'm making note of that. Okay, now I'm going to go paint. Actually, first I'm going to go hit this with some water and try and activate the water-soluble graphite. So this is just a damp brush. Going across the top, and that color, that yellow ochre color from the water-soluble graphite gets a little more intense. As does the charcoal. The charcoal starts to blend, which I really like. So now I'm using the charcoal pencil as paint. I can also bring my charcoal pencil back and draw into the surface. Oh, it's not working now. Come on. I'll get a different charcoal pencil. Okay. Okay, so when the surface is wet, it's very satisfying to draw into that wet surface with a charcoal pencil that works. It's much more intense. Again, I'm mushing this around with my finger. It just smears in a different way. Okay, now I'm going to go on to paint. I'm going to do some golden fluid, which is very intense, but a little bit more transparent. That is a phthalo blue. And again, I'm playing with lines. So if I use the top edge of this brush, I get a thinner line. If I use the wide part of the brush, I'm going to get a wider line. I'm scraping in with the back of my brush. That's called sgraffito. Can go over some of that collage material. So it's got a little bit of a transparent wash in there. I'm scraping it back to reveal the text a little bit more. And I'm doing, okay, there it worked there. I'd forgotten all about my white crayon. I can see it down there. It doesn't show up a huge amount. You can see a little bit of that white China marker showing through. Again, it's not a big wow for me. And I like the stripes. I don't really have to think about the composition. I'm just making these lines thin and thick, seeing what I get. Okay, now I'm going to go on to a light phthalo blue, and this one is opaque. So now I'm going to put on thicker paint, as we've talked about in class. If I hold my brush at a low 45-degree angle and drag, that paint's going to pull right off my brush in a nice kind of thick impasto glob. Okay, so I'm covering up some areas, then I can come in and I can scrape to reveal some of the things below. So I'm playing with all these different techniques. I can scratch lines into that thick paint. So still working with my theme of lines. I can come back and draw in with some of my implements. So here I'm using the charcoal pencil again. Wondering what else I can use. I can use my pencil to make some mark. I'm not going to really get much graphite transferring unless the area is dry. Okay, so I think you get the basic idea of exploring lines with different drawing implements, different paint brushes. I only use the flat paint brushes. You could bring in others. You could bring in a round paintbrush. Actually, I've got one right here. Let's see. I'm going to mix these two colors together to get something in between. An in-between color. And I have no water on this brush, so I'm going to see. I was hoping I was going to get some dry brush going there, but, well, a little bit down here. So yeah, that's with no water. I'm going to get a drier look. Anyway, I think you get the idea. Okay. And that is it for exploring line work with drawing implements and brushes.